Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Brian Kelly, this LSU Tigers football program, making some interesting additions to this coaching staff heading into 2025. Now, you got one that's a done deal, right? Lance Guidry, former Miami Hurricanes defensive coordinator, joining this staff as an analyst going into 2025. Look, I'm on Twitter, I'm on the message boards. I see how LSU fans are receiving that piece of news. A lot of different ways you can go about unpacking that. And we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of that. Now, the more interesting and to me exciting development here is former Florida State offensive coordinator Alex Atkins sounds like he's on his way to finalizing a deal with LSU to become the next tight ends coach heading into the 2025 year. Roughly speaking here, I kind of have two talking points. One, I'm a real big fan, and it's kind of getting lost in all the transfer portal news. I'm a fan of what LSU has done with this coaching staff. It's no secret that Brian Kelly probably missed on a few hires when he first got to LSU. You look at Joe Sloan on the offensive side of the football. You look at Coach Baker on the defensive side of the football. Really big fan of what both of those coordinators bring to LSU, and that it's not always the flashiest conversation again in this era of college football where off-season talk kind of surrounds the recruiting trail, surrounds the transfer portal. What do coaches like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, and all the elite college football coaches we see in the sport have in common? They hire really good staffs around them. And I'm a fan of where this coaching staff is going for LSU under Brian Kelly. The second take I have is, look, both Alex Atkins and Lance Guidry, no matter how you feel about either of these coaches personally, you kind of look at it from a surface level eval. Alex Atkins and Lance Guidry 12 months ago were some of the more highly sought after coordinators that we saw in the sport of college football. Now, both struggled immensely in 2024. On the surface, I mean, both of these guys are overqualified for the positions that they are taking over on this LSU program going into 2025. So on the surface, it's hard to be really critical of either of these staff additions. Now, Alex Atkins, I think, is a home run. Lance Guidry, probably a little bit more context we got to add. Want to get into both of them before we do. And as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the LSU fans. It's been a really fun offseason. Recruiting trail, transfer portal, now some staff additions. The amount of support y'all continue to show to the fellas, it means the world. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, let it fly in the comment section. Look, I've seen Twitter. I've seen the message boards. A lot of different ways that you can go about talking about specifically the Lance Guidry hire. Without further ado, let's start with Alex Atkins, a guy that I am a massive fan of. And again, you look at the body of work, the sample size that we have as Alex Atkins as a football coach, it's really, really dang good. In 2024 is probably the anomaly. And I don't know if I said that word right. The 2024 season for Alex Atkins, to me, is the outlier. And you look at it and say, okay, Alex Atkins maybe struggled as a football coach there. I think there was some other stuff going on with that Florida State program. When you see that program bottom out the way it did, pretty much every position group on the football team really struggling, there's probably some other things going on than just a position coach not doing their job the right way. You look at the rest of Alex Atkins' track record, really, really good offensive line coach, was a very, very good offensive coordinator for Florida State prior to the 2024 season. This is a guy that has a strong track record of being a good football coach. I think the second thing you bring is there's not many better recruiters in the sport. And one of the things I love about Alex Atkins is he has some experience in the state of Louisiana, right? Spent some time at Tulane. So he's got some relationships with some people in the state. That stands out. Second, just look at the Solomon Thomas recruitment. Right, Solomon Thomas committed to Florida State pretty much solely because of Alex Atkins. When Alex Atkins gets fired from Florida State, Solomon Thomas say, "Hey, I don't know if I want to go to Florida State anymore." Ends up going to LSU. One big fan of this hire is going to be Solomon Thomas if this one gets done. That kind of highlights the relationship builder that Alex Atkins is on the recruiting trail. It's hard for me to look at this one and say it's not a good hire. I get it wasn't great in 2024. There's a long track record of him being a really, really good football coach, really good recruiter. Those are the two boxes you're looking to see checked. I think Alex Atkins checks them. Now, the more controversial hiring is Lance Guidry. Now, very similar to Alex Atkins, this was a guy 12 months ago Brian Kelly was considering bringing in to run the defense as the defensive coordinator just 12 months ago. And in 2023, it had a very good defense for the Miami Hurricanes that ranked top 25. Now, it was very bad in 2024. As someone who watches a lot of Miami Hurricanes football, it was about as ugly as it gets on the defensive side of the football. I think some of it's on Lance Guidry, 100%. I think, secondly, they just didn't have the personnel in the secondary to really play all that well. It was bad in 2024, but you look at it from a surface level evaluation and say this is a guy that's been a sitting defensive coordinator at the Power 4 level, has experienced some success as a defensive coordinator as well, both at Miami and at Marshall, has been a head football coach, a ton of ties to the state of Louisiana, not only as a college coach, but a high school coach as well. And he's only coming in to be an analyst. It's not like Brian Kelly's bringing in Lance Guidry to coach a position or to run this defense. Lance Guidry's got a wealth of knowledge. He's been around the block a time or two in terms of coaching defensive football. And so I look at it and say, one other thing I'll say is Coach Baker probably knows Lance Guidry. Now, they have not been on a coaching staff together that I am aware of. They both spent a lot of time in the state of Louisiana. I guarantee you Coach Baker knows what he's getting with Lance Guidry. Coach Baker wouldn't make this hire or wouldn't push for this hire if he didn't think Lance Guidry was a good addition to the staff. And at the end of the day, I look at Coach Baker and look at his track record as a DC. If Coach Baker likes it, I like it too. Now, some of the off the field stuff that you hear about, I don't feel super comfortable speaking on that stuff because I don't know enough information about it. I know there are some question marks you have there. Probably not going to talk about it. All I look at is here. This is a guy that was thought to be one of the better defensive coordinators in college football 12 months ago. Now LSU is adding him to an analyst position. At the very least, this is a net zero. It's a nothing burger. He's not going to come in and tank the defense. And at the best case scenario is you're adding a guy that knows what he's doing, has coached a lot of football that Coach Baker clearly likes, and maybe can provide some value to this LSU defense heading into 2025. And look, the personnel is getting there for LSU. I thought they made a lot of really good additions in the transfer portal. Last year in 2024, the personnel just wasn't there. And I think Blake Baker did as good of a job as he could with this defense. I look at 2025 and say, you got the pieces now. Now it's go time. Now I expect a big jump from LSU in the 2025 year on the defensive side of the football. You get that with how good I think this offense can be. This could be a very dangerous team in 2025. Y'all know how I feel about that. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, let it fly in the comment section. A lot of different ways you can look at these two hirings, potential hirings with Alex Atkins. I ain't breaking any news here. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.